You are listening to the Unsoberly Sober Show. I'm your host, Magnify Maggie. This podcast will turn your perception of going sober upside down. We're going to be working from the inside out to get you that dream life. So make sure you stick around for the end of the episode where I'm going to walk you through our weekly positive pursuit exercise to begin rewiring that beautiful mind, baby. Welcome back, my free and powerful friend. Today we are talking money, honey. This is the Unsoberly Sober Show. I'm your host, Magnify Maggie, and this is one of my favorite topics, money mindset. I actually used to volunteer, and then I was eventually contracted to do workshops in a very posh, state-of-the-art, modern recovery clinic here in Las Vegas. And something that I observed within that recovery clinic's program was their money mindset class. And I sat in on it a couple of times, and it was literally just like budgeting and adding up your checkbook and, like logistical things of money. But there really is so much more. And I think that this demographic, our people that struggle with alcohol, tend to also struggle with money. Even if they are successful entrepreneurs, a lot of times they're spending as much, if not more, than they're making, because there is a relationship that we have with money that is very, it extrapolates out to all things. It's very intertwined with our relationship with self, with our relationship with alcohol. Alcohol a lot of times helps us escape those financial worries. It also perpetuates them, right? I've mentioned before how my mom always had funds for the liquor store, but how there were times when we had to put groceries back, and I wore the same outfit to school on Monday and Wednesday and Friday because we just didn't have money for new clothes or laundry detergent, things like that. But there was always money for the liquor store. So today is about money mindset. I think it's something that's so vital to this group of people. If you are listening and even just saying, I do not want to talk about money, I don't want to think about money, that's probably an indication that we need to have this discussion. Because there is so much more, like I said, to money than just budgeting and getting a salary where you can make it month to month. Money is energy, and money is a magnifier. If you have money, then that's a reflection of being in a good mental state. If you have good financial relationships, then that's a reflection of you being organized and disciplined and seeing opportunities and abundance in this world. And when you see abundance in this world, that means you see opportunity. That means that you're not dwelling as much. You're not complaining as much. People with healthy finances are typically in a state of well-being where they do not complain. They do not dwell on what's wrong. In fact, if they don't have the money that they are wanting, then they see that as personal accountability. What should I do different versus, money is so hard to come by. I can never get it. Money will go where it is invited and stay where it is welcomed. So I want to kind of paint a picture of where I started my own money mindset, adventure. I've mentioned before that in my early sobriety, it was like that light switch had been flipped on for me to see beautiful things in the future, like my workouts, healthy nutrition, confidence, discipline building, all of those things. I started to see that in my future. And that helped alcohol become a thing of the past. It helped starve that narrative. I stopped focusing on alcohol. But I would say within, the first 8 to 10, 12 months, I didn't know why that had happened. I didn't know why all of a sudden, after like 16 years of trying, it wasn't a struggle. I wasn't tempted by alcohol. I wasn't obsessing over it. I couldn't put into words why that was. But here I was, continuing with my ventures and starting to take on clients and build my business. And I started working with a business coach. This was my second or third business coach that I worked with, because at that point I had learned the power of investing in myself and investing in my future. So I'm working with my business coach. Shout out Matt, all the way over in the UK. Love you. He sent me Bob Proctor videos. And Bob Proctor videos just changed my life. God rest his soul, Bob Proctor was a thought leader. He worked in the personal development industry for over 60 years. He basically invented it on the heels of Earl Nightingale, who was his mentor. But in immersing myself heavily in prosperity literature that dawned from the introduction of Bob Proctor into my life, I started to understand why it was that I was able to flip that switch with alcohol. And it came through study. It wasn't automatic, the first Bob Proctor video that I got. I just kept going down the rabbit hole, and I kept coming across this quote from Andrew Carnegie, who was the richest man in the world at the beginning of the 1900s, the steel mogul. Andrew Carnegie said, "Any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, whether feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate physical form available." Any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, you think about it a lot, whether you fear it or you revere it, whether you don't want it to happen or you really do want it to happen, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate physical form available. What Andrew Carnegie was talking about was manifestation. I know it can seem like that's like a new topic, but it's not. It's been talked about for over 6,000 years, and Andrew Carnegie was kind of a man of his time back then to be talking about it. He ended up hiring Napoleon Hill to write Think and Grow Rich, which was the first iteration of the laws of success and the laws of achievement and the science of success. But hearing that quote several times, let me tell you, I had probably heard it a dozen times at least, and I remember when it clicked for me. I was walking my dog, and I remember the exact corner where I heard that quote one more time, and it was like, boom, I understand. Any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, whether feared or revered. I have been living in fear and emphasizing that thought for so long around alcohol, addiction being a disease, AA, that fear began to clothe itself in every physical form available for up to 16 years. So it dawned on me why I was able to find success, because I started to think about what I revered and focus and emphasize what I revered, what I wanted to happen, who I wanted to be. I started to really emphasize that, so I got that. But what Andrew Carnegie was actually really talking about here was money. And when you study prosperity literature, what they say is you can focus on debt or you can focus on wealth. Whichever one you're going to emphasize in your mind will be what you get. So if you're always complaining, there's not enough money, I can't make enough, oh, that's just too expensive, I could never invest in it, I could never spend my money on that, then you're going to actually perpetuate more of those thoughts and experiences. And in fact, any time that arises, that comes up for you to change your circumstances financially, you say, oh man, I really need more money. I wish I could have more money, but all I get is debt. I'm always going to be like this. Then even if you had an opportunity arise, like your boss is like, hey, you want to go up for this promotion? Then because you're ruminating over the debt, and that's what you're emphasizing, you're probably going to say, I know I probably couldn't do that. That'd be really hard. I could never. No, I won't. Or if you try, you're going to be doing it with a very negative attitude. There's all sorts of ways that scientifically this manifests. I say scientifically. Albert Einstein said this is physics, not philosophy. Then when you see that focusing on debt, focusing on money issues, focusing on lack of money coming in, manifests more lack of money coming in. This is lack consciousness versus prosperity consciousness. And so when you are stuck in lack consciousness, everything you think about is there's not enough of that. It's going to be very hard to get that. I will never be able to do that. You're thinking about what is lacking from life and the small potential that you have. That's a perception, of course. Whereas when you start to flip into abundancy mindset, abundancy consciousness, prosperity consciousness, you start to see what I sow, I can reap. You start to understand the law of cause and effect. If I want to make money, I am empowering myself to do what I need to do to make that money now. If you are stuck in lack consciousness, thinking and dwelling on debt, you are probably not going to have the creative solutions to fix your situation, to sow new seeds, to reap new rewards. In fact, you'll probably blame the circumstance on why you can't make the money. Instead of saying, how can I? You just sit on your ass saying, I can't ever. Most people that struggle with lack consciousness, it's not, I will say all people that struggle with lack consciousness, it's not your fault. That's how you were programmed. It's very likely that whatever your financial situation is how you grew up. And even if it's not how you grew up, it's not the same financial situation as your parents, it's something that your parents programmed into you. Even if your parents had a lot of money, if you went up to them and you said, can I have money? And they say, no, there's not enough money. They just didn't want to give it to you then. Well, then over time, that starts to build this mindset that money is very hard to come by, that you are unworthy of certain types of money, and that people that make a lot of money are like this different breed of a human being than you. But that's not true. You start to see things like, I lack this magical gene that other successful people have. I'm just not that person. And so you see where you lack and you start to create this perception of they are different than me. Somebody who makes $100,000 a year is way different than me. Somebody who makes $1 million a year is somebody who's way different than me. Well, yes, their character is different and their consciousness is different, but the potential is the same. Every human being has the same amount of potential, limitless. And so when you step into the abundancy mindset, you start to appreciate money and have a healthy relationship with money and say, I'm not bad, I'm not greedy, I'm not selfish for wanting to have enough money to be comfortable. I think the truth is that not everybody wants to be a millionaire, but we all want to be comfortable, right? We want to have financial freedom and to be able to say, if I want to go on a trip, I don't have to stress about going on this trip. If I want to go back to school, I don't want to stress about the money to go back to school. If I want to hire Maggie to help me transform my fucking life, I want to be able to do that. It's not like having money makes you evil. That's a paradigm. A lot of people are growing up thinking people who are rich are evil, they're greedy, they're nasty people, they're corrupt. That's not all true. There's also mean, angry, nasty, corrupt, poor people too. So that's not the common characteristics. The people that are successful have a way of thinking where if something doesn't go right in their money making, maybe they're not making the right amount of money with their salary, or they're a salesperson and they're not making the right commissions, they take personal accountability and they understand, not with shame or judgment, but with enthusiasm that, okay, if my results are lacking, that is a product of the seeds that I have sown. So how do I sow more seeds in more places, better seeds in better places? How do I improve the services that I provide? How do I increase the availability of the services that I provide? So it starts to go back to what you control versus blaming others. And yes, does this take a little bit more effort than sitting around and complaining about not having money? To say, well, I didn't hit the mark on my sales quota this month. I didn't get that promotion this month, but What could I do differently so that I sow those seeds appropriately? I put in the correct cause to get the right effect. People with abundancy and prosperity consciousness understand that they are the director of their life. And if they want something better, they just have to do better. Most people that are stuck in lack do not understand that they could do better because they suffer with a lot of negative paradigms, lack of worthiness, lack of importance, lack of purpose. And so I think the best way to switch your lack mindset into prosperity mindset and build a better relationship with money, which I guarantee will build a better relationship with alcohol because you won't be leaning on it for the stress of when you're complaining about not having money. One of the best ways to do this is to start thinking about ways that you would love to work. I know this sounds cliche, but the majority of our satisfaction does not come from leisure. It comes from our daily work. As humans, we are designed for relationships. And in those relationships, it is something very important to our self-esteem to be able to provide value to another person. How do we provide value to another person? Well, we can figure out what we love to do and then how to monetize that. We can figure out what we love to do and then figure out a job that falls into that. I'll give an example. My bestie, my best friend, she's currently going through a rocky time with work. And she was let go of one job, something that she was kind of just doing to get herself by. I know that my bestie loves reading so much. Like she will read 1,000-word book or 1,000-page book in 2 days. She loves reading. She loves storytelling. She's so funny. Anyway, so we're kind of brainstorming back and forth. And she's like, well, I guess I can go apply at this other place, which is very similar to the same place I just got let go from, which, all in all, she wasn't really happy. She was just kind of going in and getting her paycheck. And I said, I wonder if there's something that you could do like at a library. And she was like, yeah, but librarians have to have master's degrees. And I was like, no, I know so many of us think that there's only one way in for certain fields, but what if you just worked at something book related? And so I'm like just sitting on my couch and I'm Googling and I look up, in her area, I look up, I think it was library jobs in XYZ area. And something that popped up was this really unique book museum in her area. And they were looking for a guest specialist, I believe is what it was called. It was basically like a host of the museum. And the requirements or like the job description says take our guests from the human experience to the storybook experience and guide them through the exhibits and must have a sense of humor. And I was like, this is so her. But that idea had never occurred to her because she was so just kind of frantic. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And instead of thinking, what do I want to do? It was, what do I have to do to get by? And I think where abundancy mindset and prosperity mindset really takes off and helps you psychologically and physiologically, because you're going to be in a better state of mind, better physical state as well, is to start thinking about what you want. Instead of in terms of what you think you can have, which is always reminding you of your limiting beliefs, what do you want? And then start to think, how could that look in the real world? If you love animals, maybe you can't be a veterinarian, but there's probably something you can do in the animal world that fills your cup, has you excited to show up for work, and has you coming up with more ideas to increase that service and increase that income. Money will come to you in direct proportion to the services that you provide and how hard it is to replace you. That's the law of compensation. So if you are really excited about what you're doing, and you're always getting better ideas of how to do it. And because this is something that, again, you love doing so much that you're an avid learner in this subject, you are going to quickly become the acknowledged expert in your field and come up with better ways to increase your service, thus increasing the money that you attract to you. Within the prosperity consciousness literature, you also hear a lot about vibration. What kind of state are you in? If you're in a negative vibration, complaining, lack mindset, you are going to repel money. But if you are in a positive vibration where you are thinking and imagining and feeling what it would be like to see your first bonus check, to get the email that you got the job with increased pay than what they said the starting salary was, when you can feel that and imagine that, you are going to attract that into your situation, into your reality. I want to share something that you might think is freaking wild, but I really believe this to be true. And when you look at what all of the leaders have said for, like I said, 6,000 years, it makes sense. I mentioned Albert Einstein. He said, match the frequency of the reality you desire, and you cannot help but get that reality. This is not philosophy. This is physics. I had a client who was going after a new job, something that she was like, gosh, this is a big up. Like, this is such a big up. I don't know if I have the requirements. You know, they obviously require this type of degree. I don't have that, but I really want this. I really feel like it's what would make me so happy. That desire and that enthusiasm kept her pushing forward. We worked with her resume. We worked on her application and her interview skills, her confidence. We talked about that with Nate too. I mean, he got into a job of over $100,000, $30,000 over the negotiating starting salary. Anyway, so this client, we went through the whole process to get her set up, get her excited. And then when she went through the interview, the interviewer told her, you know, I really love your energy. I really love like what you bring to the table, but we have more qualified applicants, more suitable candidates that, you know, have been interviewing already. And, you know, we'll keep you posted. That was kind of the spiel that this person gave her. And I told my client, I said, don't worry at all. Where that would normally spin somebody into a state of fear and shame and anxiety, I said, don't worry. What I want you to do is think about getting the email and starting the job and being so happy. Think about what you're going to bring to the team. Think about how you're going to serve the socks off their clients. My client got an email 3 days later. The same woman who interviewed her said, you know, I don't know how to explain this, but I just can't stop thinking about you and your high positive energy. And this might be a mistake, but I'm going to take your energy over the other candidate's experience. And I just think, I got chills saying that and just reflecting on that. I think that is something that is really underestimated, the power of thought and imagination. Bob Proctor, he says, thought energy is the most potent form of energy. It pierces all time and space. Why do you sometimes think of a person and then you look at your phone and they just texted you? Sometimes you might call your mom and she's like, gosh, I'm so glad you called. I've been so worried about you. Why did you call her spontaneously? Well, something in your mind picked up on the fact that they were thinking about you, or vice versa. You were thinking about them and so they worried about you. Thought can permeate all time and space. So what you're thinking here in Las Vegas, Nevada at 9 a.m., somebody else can pick up and interpret on in the UK 6 hours, however many hours later, 9 hours later. So thought energy is potent, the most potent energy. And so if you can, even in the light of bad news or scary news, what would typically recruit anxiety, if you can just plug in confidence, faith, that imagined beautiful future of what you do want, not what you fear, what you revere, then you can manifest that. There was no other explanation for why that woman could not stop thinking about my client other than the fact that she was thinking about her, the employer, in a positive manner. She was not thinking about her in a way of like, man, that lady, she was just kind of brash and she told me straight up that I'm not worthy of this. And gosh, who is she to say that? And she wasn't thinking negatively about her and she wasn't thinking negatively about herself. She was envisioning how it would look to actually work with the team. And that woman, however you want to explain it, she could feel that. And she could not stop thinking about the positive energy that my client radiated and was manifesting. So this kind of just a little example of how I really do believe this to be true. I want to drop some of the money mindset resources that I have. Some of them are a little thick. I mentioned Think and Grow Rich, which I feel like is in very plain English, easy to read, easy to digest. But I have had clients be like, this is kind of dull. So whatever your style is, I also think that going from the page to an Audible is a good transition. Instead of trying to read it, just get it on Audible. But Think and Grow Rich is really one of the most powerful resources that I started with. It's also what Bob Proctor studied for every day, 62 years up until his death. It might have been more than that. But Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Again, that's the basics and the in-depths on the laws of achievement and the science of success. There is a science to it. It's all about what you're thinking about and what you're imagining, and then what you're doing as far as your actions to bring about the proper reaction. It's about your imagination. It's about the most common causes of failure and then the most common causes of success. It's very important reading. Napoleon Hill. The next one, something that is a little bit lighthearted and easier to kind of soak in the vast store of knowledge on this. Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass at Making Money. She kind of takes Think and Grow Rich and puts it in modern terminology and funny quips, especially if you get it on Audible. I've mentioned how funny she is. Just her tone is hilarious. I will be listening to my Audible, and I'll just be laughing out loud at her, talking about how the subconscious mind will help you attract more money or repel money, how your limiting beliefs will create this lack consciousness. It's just a really great read. Another one, The Energy of Money. The Energy of Money by Dr. Maria Nemeth. I believe it's Nameth. That is really fascinating. And she really goes through, for me, I will say, the most difficult part in manifesting money is not for me to imagine it. I'm very good at that. I can imagine, I can feel what it would be like to, help a new client and all of the things that I love to do. I can imagine that. But sometimes there are these little tedious tasks that you have to do in order to bring about that reaction, right? Things like following up emails, things like making a reel, little things. And everybody's job, these are going to be different. It might be making a spreadsheet. It might be tracking your hours. It might be, doing payroll for the staff. Whatever these little things are, a lot of times that's what stops us. We can imagine big, but when it comes down to the little things, how do we look at those enthusiastically to know that this is like just a small step that's actually bringing me that desired result that I've been imagining about? So I really love The Energy of Money. She has all types of exercises that are helpful to the mindset as well about all kinds of other things other than money. I think she really adjusted my mindset, and sometimes for the way I was thinking of lack, and it was making me think about alcohol. So those are good places to start. And this week with money, I want your exercise to really just be kind of journaling. We're going to talk money in several different, it's going to be kind of a series. We're going to talk money in future episodes as well. But just to lay the groundwork, I want you to get out your journal some point this week and just jot down your ideas about money. What do you think about people who have money? What do you think about people who have money? I used to think, again, oh, well, they're just lucky. They're just like this different type of human. I could never be like them. They're probably mean. They're probably greedy. They probably got their money in really shisty ways. I would just look at them so negatively. But if you want to have enough money to be comfortable, you have to see people who have enough money to be comfortable as being good, or else you're going to keep yourself from ever being that. You're going to say, oh, well, I don't want to get rich because then that means I'm going to be greedy and evil. Again, you don't have to be rich, but if you're looking at somebody who's making $500,000 a year and you decide that's how much money I need to be making to be happy and be comfortable and be free, then you have to look at people who make 500 grand and say, they deserve that. They worked for that. That's a reflection of their discipline and their creativity. Creativity is huge because doesn't it take creativity to say, what do I want to do and how could that look in the real life? Doesn't it take creativity to say, how could I improve my services? You know, for me with Magnify, I'm always thinking, how can I improve my services? The podcast is one of those ways. That idea came through creativity. And then I have to get creative every episode to think about what to talk about here. So you will have to have that creativity. And so when you look at somebody making the amount of money that you want to make, you have to see them in a positive light if you're going to want to get there, right? Otherwise, you're going to make all these excuses of why you don't want to get there because, well, I don't want to be evil or greedy too. But I find that a lot of times that's that lack consciousness that is actually just creating the story to keep you in your comfort zone, really. So what do you think about people who have money, especially the amount of money that you want to be making? Next up, do you believe you can have money? Do you believe you can make money? Do you believe in your own worth to provide something of the same amount representative of the amount that you would bring in? And then the third one, do you feel like there is something that would make you happy that you could also make money at? I guess lastly, too, I just want to throw this in there. What are some of your money paradigms that you need to rewrite? Things for me were like, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, of course it does not. We can't go out back and pick dollar bills off of a tree. But that paradigm, money doesn't grow on trees, it kind of builds this subconscious program of money is so hard to come by. You should be stingy with it. You should not invest it. Whatever you get from your paycheck, you need to hold on tightly to it and save for a rainy day. Well, that pretty much increases the chances of a rainy day where you're going to need it. Prosperity consciousness talks so much about circulation of money and how money can only increase in movement, either money at work or people at work. So there's a lot to this, but what are some of your money paradigms? Money doesn't grow on trees. I will never have enough money. Money is so hard to come by. I will always live paycheck to paycheck. And then as you list out your paradigms, understand, first of all, that those are not truth. That's just how you are programmed. So then on the opposite side of that paper, or maybe just on another sheet of paper, I want you to rewrite those paradigms. Money is so hard to come by. One of my favorites, money flows freely and easily to me. I am at ease and I am proud. That's what I think now. Money doesn't grow on trees. I will earn the proportionate amount of money to the services I provide. A lot of my money affirmations, I include the words earn and serve because those are very important for money making. The only money you're going to make is that you earned through how you served. And that also builds your confidence of that income and why you're worthy of it because you provided a service that was valuable. And that service could look so many different ways. It could look like a side hustle. It could look like starting a new business. It could look like going for the next promotion at work. It could look like joining a new sales team, whatever that looks like. How you serve is going to dictate what you earn. So I earn proportionate money to the amazing services I provide. Work on challenging those paradigms. And then we will have another money mindset episode. And we're going to build on this exercise. So please, please, please take me up on it. I said it recently. 99% of people that listen are not going to take me up on the exercises, but you be different. You do different. You change the way that you think, and you change the way that you earn. Money is so much more than budgeting, adding up your registrar, so much more than how to build an investment portfolio. Yes, those things are so important as added echelons to focus on and learn about. But first, you've got to change your mindset and your beliefs and your relationship with money, and know that making money does not make you greedy. It does not make you selfish. You're allowed to want money because it's what gives you freedom and comfort. So check in with me on this exercise if you're getting stuck, or if you come across a really interesting money paradigm, something that you believe to be true about money that is obviously not true for everybody in this world. You can spot that as a paradigm. Send it to me. Leave it below. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave it in the comment section. I want to work on these with you, because a lot of times when we take these paradigms and then we try to shift them, at first, our first attempt, it's not exactly like as positive as it could be. It's like, I'm not going to lose money today. It's like, okay, that's better direction than what it was before. But, let me know. I want to be plugged in with you. And if you want to have a consultation, work on money mindset, even get involved in the program to help career building and even just career brainstorming, like I did with my best friend, you're just going to go get another restaurant job. How about you look into something that you would really love and that you could advance in and move up the ladder? Try that instead. If you need that kind of attention and unique specialization, then I am here for you. There's all the links in the description. Let me know. And remember, until next time, think different to drink different. Think different to earn different and serve different. There's so many ways that I spin my tagline here based off of the content from the episode, but it's getting really fun. Keep you on your toes. All right, guys, I'm signing out. Don't forget, think different, drink different. Bye-bye for now. It means the entire world to me that you have been here with me, letting me share my experiences and hopefully helping open your eyes to a bright, beautiful life ahead of you as well. So if you are loving this show, please, please, please subscribe, like, comment, and especially share this with somebody that might be in need. Please help get the word out. Word of mouth is so important. And I know that you're somebody special who can help me in this mission for thinking differently in order to drink differently or never again. Make sure you reach out if you have any questions you want discussed on the podcast. I'm here for it. So I'll talk to you soon. Signing out, Magnify Maggie.